Welcome back, everybody, to another Round 5 commentary. It's your boy Sparky with my boy Victor. Say hi, Victor.
Hi, Victor.
Today we got you on camera and Tommy Sards. Little Boros versus Jeskai Stifle. Without giving away any spoilers to the audience, how do you like your matchup here?
I wasn't too sure going into it just because I had to think about it. If you look at it objectively, there's a few cards, I think are super helpful. I mean, you have Wrath of the Skies main. You have your Galvanic Discharges. Dress Down is decent in certain spots, but energy is still energy, man. They're the bully on the block, and until you punch the bully in the face, you kind of have to deal with it. So, not too sure who's favored here.
I will say, I was the man behind the camera this week, and I got to watch you a couple times, just like turn one, fetch Hallowed Fountain, tune the narrative, get 2 energy, play an untapped White Source, and just decimate a board for 2 mana, spending the 2 energy on a Wrath of Skies, and it just looked so strong against a lot of these Prowess and Boros decks.
Yeah, that can certainly really change how the game ends up playing out. Now, the one thing I will say is that relative to the Prowess decks, energy doesn't necessarily have to put too much into play or devote too much to have a strong start, because they rely more on their permanents than they do their spells. Yeah. So, like Prowess, they go creature, Corey Steelcutter. If you can somehow get rid of those 2 things in one shot, then they're stuck with a bunch of weird spells that require them to then go find another creature, which isn't always the easiest thing to do. So, energy, on the other hand, they go Guide of Souls, Ocelot Pride, deal with it. And you're like, well, okay, I'll deal with it. Then they say, well, I've been holding these, 1-drops in my hand even longer. So
yeah,
that is the one thing that I will say that I think Boros makes Boros so tough, in that you can wipe them. And sometimes, as long as you're playing against someone who really understands what they need to be doing, hasn't put a lot of permanence into play, and just says, you got to deal with this now.
No, I definitely agree with you there. I think there's definitely some points in contention between the 2 lists, or between like the Prowess and the energy of, like, you're right about them, one deck being more spells, one deck being more permanence. I just think that Boros Energy is just a bunch of very good cards on rate, and like they're just using them to the advantage of like this whole life gain symmetrical thing that's going to put a lot of these other decks out of business. And I think it's been doing a very good job since the printing of a lot of these cards. Talk to me specifically about Dress Down in your deck. How did you feel like that was? Because you're not playing any like counter spells, like blue counter spell kind of a thing, right? It's just like consigns, Dress Downs, and like ways to deal with problems on the board.
Yeah, you're not interacting too much on the stack. Your consigns can weirdly be stack relevant depending on what you have cast in front of you. But yeah, the deck is mainly just trying to play everything on the board, and then, I guess if they're doing something stack related, but the problem is there's like so very little control that I'm not even that worried about it.
Mm-hmm.
Dress Down is so good right now because there's so many permanents with so many text boxes, and when I say permanents, I really mean creatures. So, with all these creatures with relevant text boxes, it's so good to be able to just, like, on this end step right now. So sure, Tom's gonna get the pride trigger and get the cat, but I replace itself, and if Tom doesn't deal with it, nothing happens. And now he has a 1/2, a 1/1, and a 1/1 with no text boxes, which is decent depending.
Can you tell the audience what timing you're casting this? Are you casting this at the end step or in the main phase?
So I am casting this in the end step for 2 reasons. One, because I want to. So if you cast Dress Down in your opponent's end step, the beginning of the end step has passed, which means that the Dress Down will stay in play on my turn, which is going to be relevant for cards like Flage the Untouchable or Null Drifter. It works best with Null Drifter because you get everything.
You said Flage the Untouchable? It's Phage the Untouchable. That's a black creature.
Oh, I'm sorry. Flage Titan of Fire's Fury. Yes, you're right.
Yes.
You're right.
Not to
Everyone
confuse
don't
the viewer.
though. Actually, I think that to be fair, if you did dress
You
down,
would
I'm
be
pretty
able to.
sure
You
that
would be able to
works.
cast. You would be able to cast Phage from your hand at that point. Yes, but
Yes.
um,
So anyway, but I apologize. So yes,
all good.
Flage Titan. That's what I'm going to say from now on, just so I don't
Yeah,
mess it up. But Null Drifter specifically, is where you get the
sure.
most value out of that, because with the Null Drifter, you get the cast trigger, and then you don't have to evoke it. The downside when you cast Flage with the dress down is that you do not get the ETB of Lightning Helixing, but you do get to keep him in play without needing to escape him.
Now I assume here with the trigger for the dress down to leave on the stack, are you going to do a little some evoking shenanigans? Oh no!
I'm not a big fan of you. So for everyone at home, if you have Solitude, you can use the dress down being in play to cheat him in, so you can untap and go for it. However, against energy specifically, they have so many ways to deal with the card, and it's also just a 3/2 that I'd actually rather it be a removal spell. So here I was fortunate, I didn't have to use much energy. The tune kind of set that up so I could at least leave some mana open.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what the rest of your hand looks like. I think if you have a discharge or another tune, I probably do the play you did. Although there's also a line where
There's a tune in the narrative in my hand.
yeah, there's also a line where I may have, given the fact that this looks like it might be a Flage Titan of Fire's Fury game from Tom Sards, I may just pay the extra energy into it just to get up there. But I mean, you're going to tune anyway, so we're going to go to 4.
Yeah, tune's gonna put me to 4. I only need 3 to do it, and eventually I'm gonna have enough. Hopefully, have enough mana in play where it doesn't even matter anymore. But
yeah,
you also want to preserve your life. 12 is not a very high life total against a deck like Energy that can just go Arena of Glory, flage you.
mm-hmm.
And then again, here's my point. I got rid of a board, and here I am having to refight against the exact same setup.
Yeah.
And they don't even have the One Ring anymore, so it's even more. It's even more like aggravating sometimes. At least if they have the One Ring, you're like, well, to be fair, he's drawn 17 cards. He should have it again.
No, yeah, I'm definitely in agreement with you. We also see Tom. You don't see it from where you're sitting, but we see it up here, being the eye in the sky, that he has the Seasoned Pyromancer to follow up. So, like, if he's got like a land or something he can cast for 1, he can just empty his hand and then draw 2 cards for free. Or I potentially like him trying to haste it into play this turn.
I think he does. I think the one thing I wasn't a huge fan of was he used all the red mana into the haste mana into the Seasoned Pyromancer. I would have liked to have seen him left a red open just in case he did draw like a 2-drop or a 1-drop creature.
Or Ragavan, like
a Ragavan.
Yeah. A Voice
Instead,
of Victory
like if he wants
nuts.
to, like voice, that would have been crazy too. It just, I don't know. I mean, I don't think it mattered too much on his draws, but it might have.
I'll exert.
And there's the Ragavan. So, I mean, not that Ragavan's really doing a lot against the Solitude, right? But I think the amount of pressure you're putting means something. Especially if he goes to dash.
Yeah, well, he did. So he would have, spent 1 less mana to already have it have haste. Yeah. I think you have to put it in play, right? Because you want... I've already used 1 Wrath. I probably would have Wrathed already if I didn't just Solitude. So, I think just putting the onus on me to deal with what's coming at me and then choose what mattered more.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't, especially in my deck, I can't take the risk that Tom's going to hit something decent.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Quick maths from you. Gain 3, take 2. Gain 1 life net. We got Sacred Foundry from you and a pass. And it looks like
I left the Solitude up.
it's a Solitude. I wasn't sure if it was Solitude or Wrath guys.
No, I have Lorien Revealed, Hollowed Fountain, Tune, Solitude.
Oh.
Yeah, that was like the best one to draw.
Yeah.
Probably not the best one, but damn near close.
I think this picks off the Season Pyromancer.
Yeah, I chose the Spyro. I just felt that in the long run, I wanted to get rid of that.
That's fair.
I go to 21.
I'm jamming with the kitties if I'm Tom here.
Yeah, I thought about this too. If I even wanted to block in the first place, because it's kind of a lose-lose. Because if he swings at Pride, I block first strike damage. He gains 1, uses the cat to get off. I lose the Solitude anyway. I gain
you gain nothing.
Yeah. At least here, I think I don't block because in my mind I said, well, if I don't block, then he has to use both cats to get rid of it, and then I have the chance of gaining some life if he wants to.
Yeah.
Still thinking on end step.
So we make a cat. We're still a couple away. I believe we only have 9. We're not close to the city's blessing.
Yep.
I mean, we are close to the city's blessing. We just don't have the 10th permanent right now.
Yeah.
Seems like a rebuild turn for you. Tune off the top. Looks like Hollowed Fountain and a
Lorien Revealed. I forgot what the third card is. It's an Arid Mesa.
Oh.
Yeah, the draw 3 was actually really good, but
punished for not leaving that Sacred Foundry up.
No, I had already played a land, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah. I played the Plains.
Tom takes a draw. It's a Fable. 2/3 drops with Flage, Titan of Fire's Fury, and Fable the Mirrorbreaker. I think this is a Flage turn here. Although Fable does get us to the right number of permanents we want.
Yeah, the more I think about it, the more I actually think that depending on what Tom wanted to play around, it might have been better to play the Fable, because if I have Consign there, I get to keep my Solitude, and then he has to commit more resources to getting rid of it.
I should have the
True.
City's Blessing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Cat will be 10. Go.
And he just sets you up here for the Wrath.
Yeah, I mean, Wrath not nearly as good because of the fact that he has the bombardment.
And he's got to haste Flage out of the yard. You're caught between a rock and a hard place here. Lead with the Plains. So what's your thought process going into this turn?
I have to have enough mana to dress down, and I have to make sure that I can Wrath, Flage, and dress down Tom's Flage all in the same turn.
Oh, that last card is a Flage for you. Okay.
Yeah, that was one of the...
So 5 cards, 2 lands, Wrath, dress down, and Flage. Got it.
Yeah, the draw 3 off Lorien Reveal was Wrath, dress down, Flage.
Jeez. Just straight bangers.
And luckily, because it's in the narrative, I was full of energy, so I didn't have to commit. Because I think if I had to commit any more mana, I don't know if I would have had enough. I know I would have, but nice that I don't have to worry about keeping mana around.
Yeah. And then this Flage is also really good for you because you go up to 6, right?
Yep.
Because can you? Well, we'll wait till we get there, but I think there's an interesting rules question a bunch of people are going to have in about a second on Tom's.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know which one you're gonna ask. Yeah. Okay. We can go over it.
Yep.
23 to 6, and then you pass.
Cards in hand. Cashier, you're here.
I don't know why he asked to see your graveyard here. And
I know some people are statistics. Yeah.
There are a bunch of statistic people, and I fully get that, but I do think I'm not sure how much time Tom uses here, but I do want to note this specific little interaction. And I think
here's the thing.
We wind down at least 30 seconds.
I'll say this. In my experience, right? Mm-hmm. It does help to see, like, okay, well, there's a slight chance that, he's already seen 2 dress downs. He's seen 2 solitudes. What could he have? And I get you try to, like, eliminate the math, but, like, here's the thing. I don't know if, like, and I'm not saying for Tom or just really anybody, that anyone's actually calculating the correct math on what there possibly could be. I think that the behavior is more indicative of what is going on here. And I think that if Tom thinks about it, there literally is only one card I can have here that would not cause me to just instantly concede. So I think that it's, if anything, don't even worry about the statistics. Look at the play pattern and say to yourself, well, why would he have played it this way? There's only one answer.
Yeah.
Fable. Yeah.
And I think this was his version of a safe play for what was going to happen. Because for the viewers at home, we also see that he has a Voice of Victory in his hand. So
yeah.
You draw. It's an Arena of Glory. And now I think it's just what is it, like dueling pianos? It's like dueling flages with haste.
Sort of, yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I don't really think it matters what cards come to exile for you.
Yep, you got a 9.
No, not really. I could have just grabbed like the first 5 off the top, but it doesn't hurt to just double check and look.
Yep.
Notably for the viewers at home, you are still dead if Flage comes in with haste, because that is 12 damage and you are at 12.
Draw, trigger.
So Tom sees he's got a discharge in hand and he's got a Voice of Victory, and now he has an option to discard a card.
I'll discard.
He discards this Galvanic Discharge, and I think his hope there was to draw a land, because then he can go land, Voice of Victory, and then exert the Flage and call it a day.
Yeah. I believe talking to Tom about it later on, he did say that was his line.
Yeah, so this is where it gets interesting, because specifically how the interaction, which is possibly going to happen soon, that needs to happen with your dress down, you kind of have to allow the first trigger to happen, right? Because that's how you get the Flage to lose haste.
Okay, so yeah, for anyone that doesn't, and I know dress down's a very complicated card, and if you ever want to know more about layers, I think it's rule section 613 in the comprehensive guide, talking about layering. If a dress down is cast and resolves before this Flage would come into play, Tom would not get the ETB trigger. However, it would have haste.
Because the Arena of Glory is giving it haste. as it enters. Yes.
Yes, I was going to get to that point.
Sorry.
If I do it after that, it will lose haste because any abilities that has been granted at that point now go away. So knowing that I could not afford to take the damage, though I'm not sure if these life totals are right because I thought I was at 9. I could be wrong. Either way, I knew that I
you
wanted
were
to just blame.
After your attack, you were at 12. You just went to 9 from the damage that he dealt you.
Okay. I mean, I probably could have let... No, because 12 would have still been dead, right?
Yeah.
360 at 12. Yeah, so I had to not let him be able to swing. But I had to let him hit me for the 3.
Yeah.
So...
and this is where, like, had Tom possibly kept that galvanic discharge, he could have done 3 to the flage and then nuked the flage, or with 3 energy, he could have just dealt with the flage with the discharge.
Yes.
So he wouldn't be in this predicament where you're possibly here, still alive, gaining life. Tom has Voice of Victory and another flage in his hand. And you just have
the best 5-drop in the multiverse, including the best, including one of my better top decks of the night, for sure.
Yeah. Because this right here is an answer for the opposing flage. Permanent answer.
Yeah, I will say prismatic ending. Still a great card. Even in a format like this where everything seems to swing on the same damn turn anyway for the most part, but
yeah,
it does give you almost the last word in a matchup.
Yeah. And then we see another land here, which we did finally get to 6, but I'm not sure how well that's going to help us out here.
I got a 7.
Tom fetches down to 7. I think he's grabbing a plains. And it looks like he might just be casting what's left in his hand. Voice followed by Flage. Titan of Fire's Fury.
How many cards?
You're never going to let me forget that, are you?
I just keep saying it now because I want to make sure that the people at home know. That's not... I would never, like, mock you while we're, you know, filming commentary, right, Victor?
No, never. You would never do such a thing.
No, I would never.
Whoever named those cards, by the way, I want you on notice that if I ever see you, it's on site. Because what is it? One letter? Flage versus Phage?
Yes, you're 100%.
So silly.
So, small life total swing of 6 life, 3 in each direction. You draw your card, it's another dress down.
The 4th dress down.
Yeah, like you got all the dress downs, bud.
I've done it. I will say that between Lorien Revealed, Stock Up, and the Tuners, there is a lot of draw power in this deck.
No, like that's one of the reasons why I've been telling Calvin, another one of our Hive My Management members, about how good this deck is. And he played it today at the RCQ.
Oh, yeah, I forgot he said he was playing it. Yep. Even though I offered to lend him the deck, too, so it shows how much I'm paying attention.
He did play the version you said about with the Force of Negations and the Invert Polarity. He really liked that. Mm-hmm. So he played that today. But you swing with your Flage, knock him down to 4. You're up to 15. So Hasty Flage is not lethal for you. And Tom's...
Yep. Which is where the inverse now comes into play, because I actually have to... If he goes to play the Flage, I actually need to cast it beforehand, letting him have haste, because I don't want him to gain any life, because at 4, it's just double Flage triggers and it's all over.
That's correct. It is elementary, my dear Watson.
Which, now that I think about it, talking to Tom before, he said he should have played the voice beforehand. I actually realized that it didn't matter because I was still going to play that before the Flage came into play. So he could have had haste all day. I could care less about it having haste.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. Just cast in a Johnny.
Oh, it's in a Johnny. Never mind.
If you might not want to be swinging anyway, but this does have haste.
Oh, it still does?
Yes, because I did it before Resolve. I would have had to do it.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Why did I think he had a voice? Oh, he had a voice of victory last turn. Never mind.
Yeah, and you killed it. You killed it with one Flage, and then the other one killed the Kiki.
You're at 4, correct?
Yes, I am.
I'm at 4.
I also just like completely blanked on just like clearing the way because I'm an idiot.
We're discharging.
Yeah, you probably could have killed that Flage.
Oh, definitely could have killed that Flage.
You probably should have shot that Flage.
Yeah, now I did the style points victory, I guess.
Really
Look at that dog.
Yeah. Yeah, and then Yep. Yeah, I popped the trigger on that Draven Charm way too early.
I appreciate Tom, who was about to drop an F-bomb, thinking about the stream and paused himself.
Yeah, I do appreciate that. That was nice of him.
I was trying to hit a land so I could have went voice and Flage.
I'm gonna try and go over what Tom's doing to see if I can see how he's doing it. I think he's bringing in some of these possibly these Celestial Purges.
Didn't really do anything. It's just getting me an energy.
Well, you're trying to apply pressure.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense.
I also like the Wear Tear, to be honest, to get rid of the dress down.
The more I think about it, the more.
Yeah, it was loose. It was loose.
Trying to make it a little bit better.
No, it was loose.
Also against you, I don't mind Molten Rain. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, I think Molten Rain's fine. It just depends, right? Because if I do have the ability to keep, I need 3 lands, right, to function. So if you're not able to do a thing where you can keep me off those 3 lands, I might be able to just cast 3 drops, and then you might be in a situation where if you're stuck with a bunch of Molten Rains but no threats, and I'm playing threats, you're kind of playing this weird like backwards control game because Tom is definitely the beatdown, right? He wants to be, progressing his board. Giving me time just doesn't seem like what he really wants to do. I'm not against it. I don't think that's where Tom wants to be. I think putting pressure on me to be able to do what I need to do is more important.
Yeah. It looks like he's taking out 2. He's taking out 2 Static Prison, which I agree because you have consigns in your deck.
What's that?
I'm talking to myself.
Is he cutting 1-drops? No.
Hell yeah.
I lost 3 marbles, Mr. Springer.
That's a discharge.
The discharge makes a decent amount of sense just because if Tom's like, well, if we get into a Flage battle, like discharging Flage, it just seems bad. He is bringing in Purge, which does deal with it permanently. The only thing is Tom didn't see game 1. He didn't see me play any Null Drifters, which might have made him think differently about taking out some number of it. I'm not 100% sure, but
I know it's probably heresy. But I would actually cut one of the 3 bombardments. I know the card's good, but I think the redundancy there, I want just 2. So I would probably cut like a bombardment and I'll get Galvanic there along with the 2 prisons, and I think I'd be okay with that. Because you want to have your density of threats, and then you want to have like the other cards that are also there, because if you stumble at all, he can just take the game over with like all of his good threats, like just being the junk deck of kitchen soupness that he is.
Yeah, I'm not 1,000% sure what he should or shouldn't be taking out, so
yeah,
I wouldn't trust me on that one. I think what did I end up doing?
I'll give you a instance of what I would do. Hold on.
Gotcha.
Oh, I was gonna say you might have your sideboard guide handy.
I do have I did not have it up, but I do have it relatively handy. So, looking at the April update, yada yada, Eldrazi, Prison, Blink.
What's that?
Wrath the Sky's Blue control decks. 4 discharges come out, 2 Thraben Charms come out, 2 Bolts come out. We're on Bolts, not Static Charm. Or Static Prison, sorry. And I would bring in 2 Blood Moons, 4 Molten Rains, 2 Showdowns.
Or
I held on to that voice for like
maybe that's not bad.
I think with the Blood Moons and the Molten Rains, I think it has a nice overlap of like 6 3-drops that are okay. While I am heavy 3-drops at that point, I kind of have to keep that in my head when I'm making mulligan decisions. That I probably have to keep 3 lands. I probably have to keep like some relatively slower hands in order to make it good. But I think it's pretty interesting.
He had infinite cards just to buy it back anyway in multiple arenas. Like, it's not.
And then I think if you see any of that start to happen, it forces you to fetch a little bit differently, and maybe you have to play the game on a different axis. I mean, you do have ways to find, like with the Lorraine Revealeds, to find your blue sources, and you can fetch a white source, so it's not that bad.
No, I'm probably not against that plan. It's probably fine in the overall sense. This game on the play, on the draw, I do bring in the 2 subtleties and 2 celestial purges.
I think that's smart.
On the draw, I take out the subtleties because my idea is that because I'm on the play, I want to just let whatever Tom plays like kind of come into play, but then wrath it away and then untap and do my thing.
Yeah.
And like 3 3-drops. I'm like,
I'm definitely for that. I don't think you want to be down card advantage on the draw by having to use this stuff with the subtleties.
I'm just like, this doesn't really do much.
Well, that would be on the play, but I get what you meant.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Also important for the player at home, pay attention to that clock. Most of the time, over half the time has wound down, and you have to, make sure you're playing crisp and tight if you want to try and win 2 on the bounce. Hey, Vic, there's something weird going on by the names. You see that?
Oh, yeah, that's so kind of you.
Yeah, it'd be a real shame if somebody put up their RC records, their recent RC records.
Yep. Tom definitely had a much better one.
It should be note for the viewers at home, Victor did start off 6-0, and Tom did start off 0-2.
I think I'd rather have started off 0-2 then.
I'm going to be honest, that's a heck of a run from Tom. You also had a very good run. We were happy to see you on camera when we were down in Charlotte. It was a blast. I was rooting for you the entire time. I know the wheels kind of fell off against a lot of those broken breach decks, but I'm still proud of you, Victor.
I'll take 3.
No, I appreciate it. No, Tom, listen, Tom, what were we going to say? Go ahead.
You know who hasn't seen a day 2? This guy.
Nah, fair enough.
Yeah.
I will say Tom made... So it's a philosophical debate, right? Well, one, I wasn't able to play the best deck in my format, right? Tom, I think objectively, Tom was, right?
Mm-hmm.
So here's the thing. I went for the idea of I wanted to play something that I was comfortable piloting.
Yeah.
And I didn't have as much experience with Blue-Eye Control as I probably would have liked to going into the format, but I also just thought that it was, a deck that I've been familiar with, but also had a little bit of experience understanding how the matchups and the interactions were going to work going into that format. I don't think any other deck I would have played would have really given me enough time or reps to have done anywhere decent to what I had done. So that being said, I will say that the more I go to these bigger events, sometimes, and if you're saying to yourself when if you're sitting there, you're like, what do I play? I know there's going to be a lot of sort of counter arguments to why you should,
Victor. Preach it.
Why you shouldn't play the best deck. Play the best deck. There's just just not enough to convince me otherwise that you shouldn't play the best deck unless you have some amazing. By the way, that was a great feeling there. Going turn 1 Neptune into.
I was trying to wrap this up to let you talk about the Wrath, but yes, continue.
Yeah, no, but I mean, here's the thing though. Look, he had
look at the rebuild. Look at the rebuild.
Ironically, I think what really stifled me there was just not having No, actually, I have the red source, so I mean, it still stinks I don't have a Wrath to deal with that setup, but it is what it is. But yes, long story short, unless you have a glaringly overwhelming reason, like I don't have the cards, I can't get them in time, and I won't even have enough of a level of comfort to be able to play this deck. Just play the best deck.
That was one of the debates I had going into that event was, do I want to spend $1,000 to try and do well at this RC, or do I want to play a deck that I've been playing for a few weeks, understand how some of the matchups work, and then try and do my best?
So
I took
$1,000, unless
this-
you got it like that, I probably would have said no, and that is a reasonable
a thousand.
objection.
I'm doing okay for myself right now, but $1,000 is like a chunk of change, especially on a hobby where I'm not sure I'm going to be able to make that back in any relatively kind of ROI sense.
No, it is like, here's the thing. I actually think you have a better chance of playing $1,000 at a blackjack table than you do at a Magic event of getting your money back for that. So
Sure, 100%.
You
or
know,
even playing roulette
I-
or whatever. But I
Yeah.
agree. You lose 99.99% of the tournaments you enter. There's only ever one winner. Give yourself the best potential to try and win a tournament.
Get a guy on a turn.
And not go broke. Remember, Magic is a hobby.
Yes, it is a hobby. The magic is the gathering we had along the way.
Absolutely not. If given, I would fight half of the people I've played with on site. If I've played against you, there is a good chance that I have thought about fighting you. So just DM me. I will be happy to tell you if I've thought about it.
DM me so you can catch these hands.
Absolutely.
Victor will be written on Victor Ferro's tombstone.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you took down an Ocelot Pride. He's got 2 kitties left over.
Combat.
It looks like you have a bunch of air right now. I only see blue cards. I think it's 2 tunes and a stock up.
Yeah, which now that I think about it, I don't remember if I conserved my life total here or not. It's a tough call. Okay, I did conserve my life total just to try to set up because I think at this point I was still just looking for just the idea of digging for a Wrath, and life wise, this cost me less life to dig a card.
No, I agree.
If I wanted to tune there, I would have had to spend 3 because I can't get a blue source off of the Arid Mesa.
Ooh, you needed that last turn.
Yeah, the subtlety that I drew a turn late as I weeped internally.
So I
was not thrilled about drawing that.
Yeah, so you haven't played a land yet. I don't know if I agree with this, but I think I leave the red source open.
I think in my head it was try to find land or white source land Wrath, and this is how I do that.
I think that's fair.
Because in my mind, going discharge saves me. Here's the thing: the only thing I can discharge is the Ajani, which saves me 1 life.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess you're right. I think there's a Solitude there that you're making a debate on, and it looks like you took Island something.
I think I took the island there because I knew I could untap him and go double tune.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Tom having the Gal discharge was really not what I wanted, but they're gonna have it. There's just a very unlikely chance that Tom isn't gonna have the removal spell there just to flip it over.
Yeah.
And heads up by Tom not just jamming the Saga for no reason. Just said, you know what, I'll leave this behind and see what happens.
Very, very heads up play. Like, he knows he's ahead. You're technically at 7 right now. I think there was something, or 6. Oh yeah, because you fetched.
Yeah,
I think I referenced somebody's life total when I did that. Yeah.
Forehand.
Yes.
So we have Wrath of Skies from you.
Discharge a cat. Net 2. Trigger a Johnny.
Unfortunately, no Flage to punish this, because that would have been great.
I'll do it for 0.
But I also didn't have a white source anyway to tap with.
Yeah, because you're just going to get domed for 2 here, right? Because he's going to play the Fable.
Yeah, he's going to play the Fable. I mean, or, he could even...
Oh!
Actually, I think... yeah. I don't remember how Tom plays it out, though. We're going to find out all together in the next second.
I'll be honest, this is much worse, because he just hastes the guy and puts you to 1. Yeah, because he can play the Spyro. Haste the Spyro. Oh, if it's the Spyro, you have subtlety. Does he know to play around subtlety? Is that on his radar? If it is, this is going to be an amazing turn. Wow.
Yeah. 0 a Johnny.
I think I may... You know what's funny is I think I have a revelation. Revelation. Anyway.
Yeah.
Partially through this turn. But no, I would have had it with fetched anyway, so I actually don't know if it would have mattered.
Subtlety.
What about going to 3?
Yeah, something about going to 3 in my mind. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm just dead to a Flage here, but then I realized that I'm dead to it anyway. But I think what ends up happening is,
That's the top one. I'm not dealing with that.
Forgot how I end up looking at this where I'm just like, why did I do this?
A shitty one?
Oh, is that a Null Drifter?
We did it.
Yeah, I have the Null Drifter.
You're just...
And a stock up.
Oh, I think in your mind you were like, I just want to get this at Johnny out of the way, right?
Yeah, that's why I played the subtlety, because I'm like, yeah, attack the Johnny, but then I realized that because of the Arena of Glory, that it's kind of like screwed either way. And in my mind, maybe I'm supposed to just go find something else or not do it, but either way, the decisions that I make led me here. I am at 3.
I see some lands. It looks like a discharge and something else goes to your hand. A few lands go to the bottom of the deck.
I think in my mind, Wrath and Discharge are the 2 best cards I could possibly see, because you can just go Wrath, for 3, and then discharge away the Ajani, and then the board's clear. Not that that's like great, but if you're trying to think about the 2 best cards you could find.
Yeah. There's a consign memory, it looks like. Big oofs.
Yep.
Consign memory and Null Drifter.
Trigger.
Yeah, and unfortunately, if Tom had played it the other way around, would it have mattered? I go to 3. He would have exerted. I would have subtletied. Yeah, it actually might have mattered if Tom had done it the other way, because that Arena of Glory most likely is tapped.
Discard.
I like this play here of like the Ragavan really doesn't matter.
I think he could have kept it, because it didn't matter either way, because they're all 2 power toughness, and I can only block 1 thing.
Yeah.
Exert.
Oh, you know what though? This is still better, because the Spiral draws you 2 cards. So even if I do have a way to like deal with this, he's still 2 cards up. So never mind. It actually is better. But yeah, even if I, stifle the trigger, it's not going to do anything.
So, from your standpoint, there's about 5.5 minutes left. What's your game plan here?
My game plan? So, you obviously try to find a way to win the game, right? Especially because if you're in a must-win situation where you have no other choice but to just win the game to get, maybe pretend this isn't an FNM, right? You're playing for top of the RCQ. You need to win. You're going to do whatever you can to try to win the game.
Mhm.
If you can't win the game, the next best thing isn't to lose, it is to find a way to end the game in a draw. Now, I say that with a caveat because some players out there will say, well, Vic said I should play for the draw, so I'm going to slow play. That is not what I'm saying. I am saying play
I
the
also
match,
concur. Yeah.
play the match, play it to the best of your ability, and do not intentionally slow play.
Yeah.
But find a way to draw the game. You can draw the game and not slow play at the same time. There is a way to do that.
Yes.
If you're not willing to do that, then either A, concede because you should do the right thing for your opponent, or
Mhm.
B, simply just
Play fucking faster.
play faster.
I'll drop the F-bomb this far into the cast. So,
yeah, there you go.
But yeah, I do think there are a lot of people, not just the people we play with, people in general sometimes just need a little bit of a nip in the bud to play just a little bit faster.
Yeah, and for people that are just starting out playing at home, right? There's a lot of ways that you can find ways to save time, and you might say, "Well, Vic, like this action only saves me 5 seconds." Sure, it saves you 5 seconds in the individual standpoint, but if I'm playing you in a 50-minute round and you have to do that one action, maybe 10 or more times, that can add up to minutes, and each action, depending on what it is, can save you time. And if you don't want to save time and then you draw and you're upset that you drew when you didn't want to, say you're like, maybe if this situation was Tom needs that win but a draw doesn't do anything for him, but I'm fine with a draw. There's a question of like if he was somebody else game one, maybe he concedes earlier because he needs to use the time. A lot of people forget that time is a resource. It is not unlimited. Otherwise, we would just continue to play until there was a winner.
Agreed. That being said, let's see how this pans out.
Okay.
You're gonna discharge the cat. He's not gonna get any tokens here. You go full Mike Long and drop your hand, and then and then you go pick up the cards like they weren't already stacked there previously.
Yeah, I wish.
I've never moved so fast in my life.
I've seen you move pretty fast on the golf course.
Yeah, that's not going too well though. I'm like dying afterwards.
Yeah.
We got to work on our endurance.
Yeah.
Not the evoke creature endurance.
Great card, by the way.
Amazing card.
I miss playing that card, but unfortunately,
you've blown out quite a many of my Darcys with that card.
Hey, listen, you know what? You want to play Murktide? That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, they don't. They just got to design this gross ass elemental stack.
Yeah, I'll just do that. Go. Sure.
Yes.
Piscatios.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't see a third lane.
Yeah.
I am very stuck, and it's very unfortunate, and I'm not thrilled with it. I even thought about maybe just putting in the Solitude, but in my mind, you're never going to get enough value, especially playing against energy, where there's some chance where this Solitude is going to stick around.
Fair.
Now, if you are playing Stifle and you put in the Solitude, do not expect it to stay around. That's on you.
Yeah.
Trigger. Yeah.
If I was him, I would dump the Flage right now and another card. He dumps the Flage and another card, and then he fetches, and then he's got enough cards in his graveyard.
Discard to draw.
Yeah, well, here's where worrying about time a little bit too much, not just. So like it's a weird thing, right? It's kind of an oxymoron.
He just realized right now. He just realized at that moment that he's like, oh, I should be putting my Flage out, and I missed it.
No, I discarded the wrong one. Oh well. I'll take one.
And he's got to do it here.
It might seem silly, but if you are someone who doesn't want to go to time, or you find it happening often, or you find yourself playing sloppy when you're playing a deck that is maybe a little bit more mid-rangey or slower, physically just start practicing by yourself solitaring and actually playing faster.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with just trying to sit there and actually play faster, so that way you're kind of in that situation, because that can be helpful for yourself, where you just yeah,
I'll definitely say
you're good with it.
Yeah, I'll definitely say when I'm learning how to play combo decks, I will goldfish them a lot for like hours on end. to try and figure out how to do the combo as quickly as possible.
Trigger on the stack.
Yep, solitude.
Yeah,
sure.
unfortunate.
I'll gain 6.
You're at
25. Say go.
Oh yeah, because of the trigger.
Yep.
10 step.
Okay.
Time in the round.
Draw.
Active players turn 0.
Probably find my third land.
15.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was at 18.
Yeah.
Unless if I.
No, 12. 'cause
Oh,
This was a hot minute where I like missed a few like total changes.
It happened pretty fast, so.
and then
Yeah, you guys, and now,
get a call.
and of course, whenever this happens, viewer at home, you can slow down now, not to like a glacial pace, but like you can slow down a little bit, take a breather. You're already in turns because you're gonna want to try and figure out how to get the win, because this is a point where each player gets 3 turns, whether you're turn 0 or turn 5. Like you're gonna get 3. That's it.
For cash trigger.
I will say this for people at home who maybe have not been to an RCQ or,
Tarzan?
you know, a bigger event yet who are kind of worried, like, oh, how often does this happen? It doesn't happen too often, but I can tell you that I've been playing and a minute and a half has gone by, and a judge will say to me, player, I need you to make a decision.
Mhm.
And in that moment, it totally sucks, right? Because you want to say to the judge, are you kidding me? Like a minute and a half. But unfortunately, depending on the judge, and unfortunately, time and slow play is kind of a subjective thing. Sometimes there's not really a quantifiable rule set
Oh, okay.
about how that kind of plays out.
Yeah, it's
But-
unfortunate, but
You know, it's unfortunate, but sometimes you're just gonna you have to try to sit there and think about what your game plan is, what they could possibly have in a condensed time frame. And there's not much you can do about it. When you're in turns, definitely take a second to just like analyze the situation. But yeah, don't be in hyper mode where you might make a punt. Where
Yeah,
the
don't
extra
try-
maybe 10 to 15 seconds of thinking would have kept you in a spot.
there's an interesting line here
Discharge.
where 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Dash.
There's an interesting line where I think Tom could have played.
Move to combat.
He could have played the cat and made a token and tried to expand his board. I know he's getting in for 4 damage here. I mean, I guess you have the Solitude anyway, but like,
Right now?
it would have been interesting to see that. I'm not sure.
Yep. Cool.
And as some people at home, by the way, I kind of thought about this, where they might say, "Hey, Vic, well, if that was the case, why didn't you just scoop to Tom?"
Look to my.
I'll say this, but we played for the camera. We had already pre-agreed to a split beforehand.
Yeah, there was a prize split. They're just playing for our benefit.
We're playing for
to
glory.
watch-
However,
watch-
I will say this: if you're gonna play, say you split with your opponent on round 5. Unfortunately, we don't do top 8 just due to time constraints, right? So round 5 is just round 5. I will say this though: if you're going to play with an opponent, especially someone like Tom, who has been at the bigger stages and has played at higher level events, it's good practice for both of us here. So I'm practicing in my mind. My practice goal here and what I'm trying to get out of my lessons, or things to take home for the night, is how do I turn bad situations into better situations? And in my situation, as soon as I realized the time, my goal is no longer that I can't win in time, but can I, legally and by the book and in a fair fashion, draw the game.
I also think it's worth it to give your opponent 110% of your best.
Oh yeah, for sure. You
Like, play
gain
some
nothing
big
by
game, yeah.
playing foolish.
Yeah.
29.
I mean, maybe besides like Tom not discarding that flage, I'm not even gonna say that was a punt. Like, I don't think that was a punt. I think that was just a little miscue with like time constraints winding down. But like, I think it would have still eaten the Solitude. There wasn't a moment where I think he would have gotten this 6 extra damage in. Although if he was able to,
No, not voice of victory.
I think if he was able to conserve some time earlier in some of these games, I think he's able to win this game outright if like both players get like 2 more turns additionally. Possibly.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the role, right? Because like easily Tom could have wanted to have less time on the clock, if he's on the back foot. So it just you long story short, analyze your position, analyze who you are.
Yep. But at the end of the day, it was a good game. You guys played some tight Magic, and that's what we like here on the channel. Nice tight Magic with good players.
I don't know if I'd put myself in the good category, but I appreciate it.
No, of course you're pretty good. Do you want to talk about your high noons? We got 30 seconds left.
High noon, best card against prowess, maybe decent against energy. I had an afterthought of, a lot of the turns where Tom got the most advantage out was when he could do 2 things at once. So maybe going forward, I'll bring him in.
Yeah, I think it's definitely worth it. You may have more cards you might want to side out, so it's definitely it's definitely worth the thought, at least. And it can like kill a bunch of his dudes if you're able to sacrifice it.
Yeah, that's it. That is true.
But thank you for the games, Vic. As always, thank you for joining me today. And folks at home, we will see you in the next one. Thank you for joining us today. Don't forget to like and subscribe and ring that bell. And if you'd like to support us, you could find us at our Bonfire store.
And a huge thank you to our sponsors, Nova Games and Brick, for hosting us for FNM. And please make sure to use our Mana Traders coupon code OCHM at signup for 25% off your 3rd month.
I've been Sparky. Say goodbye, Victor.
Goodbye, Victor.